For those of you who don't know me, my name is Abbey Tennis. I have the honor of serving as your lead minister here at First Unitarian Church of Philadelphia, and I use she, her pronouns. It's good to be together this morning. So it was a beautiful afternoon, and my partner Kai and I were driving back to my mother's house after hiking Mount Monadnock in New Hampshire. As I remember it, we drove through a little town and passed a house that was on the right with a white picket fence and flowers everywhere, a dense and colorful cutting garden in their front yard. Do you all know what a cutting garden is? It's a garden that you plant in order to be able to cut flowers from it, so cutting garden. And these people had put out a sign in their front yard so that those who were walking or rolling by could see it. And the sign said, "God's flowers, pick free." And I was like, wow, how generous. These people plant a stunning array of flowers in their own yard, but they see that these flowers are coming from the holy, and therefore that they belong to everyone, bringing beauty to flourishing life in their yard only to give it away. What a lovely show of their faith in God, I thought. What an exquisite demonstration of generosity and trust in their fellow humans, I thought. And though I wish I could say that I am as selfless and generous a person as they were, I jealously guard whatever I can grow in my own little postage stamp of a garden. I should be clear, whatever I'm able to keep the squirrels from stealing from my little postage stamp of a garden. Though I will occasionally gift friends or colleagues here with a handful of hot peppers or cherry tomatoes, I am far too miserly and I feel far too much scarcity around my own garden space to just offer what I grow to anyone who passes by. So it only took a second to have all of these positive feelings about them and all of the negative feelings about myself as we were driving by. And while I was still feeling it all, I noticed an extra couple of words that they had printed at the bottom of the sign. So it didn't actually read "God's flowers, pick free." It read, "God's flowers, pick free, 3-bloom limit." And all of a sudden, the owners of the garden that I assumed were endlessly selfless and generous became a little bit more human, and my own tight-fisted possessiveness over my own little garden became maybe a little bit more human too. 3-bloom limit. These people still believed that the beauty of this earth, even the carefully cultivated beauty on their private property, was of God and therefore belonging to all of humanity. But a little bit of their human self-protection, or maybe just a little bit of baggage from one too many neighbors who had been over-enthusiastic with the scissors, caused them to put a limit on just how much these flowers actually belonged to everyone. These people, whoever they were generous and they were faithful, but they were not willing to give it all up for some clipper-happy neighbor. Flowers are symbols for so much in our culture and in cultures around the world. The Chopeks focused on the way that they can represent uniqueness and unity in their Unitarian congregation in Prague 99 years ago. In popular Western culture, they tend to symbolize love and care, which is why we often give flowers to people on special days in their lives, or why we send flowers to people who are sick or people who are grieving. There have been times and places in human history where the symbology of flowers was so rich and complex that flowers could almost be used as a language at times. But this week, I have mostly been thinking about flowers as a symbol for abundance, and that's certainly played out here in the sanctuary and also with you all on Zoom this morning. I often have a scarcity mentality about my own garden because I never seem to get as many blooms for as long as I want them amongst the flowers that I plant. I want the biggest and the brightest and the showiest blossoms, but those seem to take the kind of garden space and maintenance that I don't have the patience for or the space for. I want fresh bouquets to adorn each surface in our home, but I rarely want to cut what few flowers I do grow outside because there never seem to be enough, both for the front garden and in my own home. If I take a moment to sit back and look, though, there are actually too many flowers to count in my little West Philly postage stamp garden. And yes, some of them are weeds. Maybe a lot of them are weeds. And some of them are small, and most of them won't last that many days if I were to cut them and put them in a vase in my house. But when I choose to look for the blooms, they are always there. Whether it's the heavy, fragrant roses from my neighbor's yard that droop over our property, or the tiny tomato flowers whose dusty yellow pollen smells of summer unlike anything else. Or even those creamy bindweed blossoms whose roots I am constantly trying to remove from the borders of my yard and who climb up the fences. Even this morning, as I was thinking that I had to somehow make time to stop somewhere to buy flowers for our flower communion ritual today, I had to pause for a moment and widen my gaze and remember that there's actually always flowers to choose from. I realized that I could bring flowers from our antique hydrangea bush and honeysuckle vine that I pass by several times a day, but I think of mostly as a way of drawing attention away from the trash cans that live next to them. Or I could have chosen those tiny purple flowers from the ornamental thyme that grows wild across the rocks in our front wall, or I could have chosen several fluffy heads of white clover that dot the backyard. I guarantee that each of us who goes outside today will be able to see flowers within a few feet of our door. Even amidst the concrete sidewalks, we can find the sunny faces of the dandelions. Even in the cracks of the streets, we find the royal petals of the violets. And I know because when I forgot to grab those antique hydrangeas and honeysuckle vines, in the rush of getting the baby and the diaper bag for the baby and all the other stuff for the baby, I grabbed dandelions on the way in. And I grabbed some kind of roadside cluster of tiny yellow-green flowers that I found on the way into the sanctuary from my car. Because we know that flowers are everywhere, and flowers are beautiful, and flowers bring joy, and flowers cannot be stopped. But we can forget to notice them. And how much of life is like that, my friends? We work hard for the big, bright, showy things in life, but there never seems to be enough. We want to make space for beauty and joy everywhere, but that feels like it's too extravagant, or it seems like if we make space for beauty in one part of our life, it will mean less space for beauty in other parts of our lives. And I think all of us know on a deep level that what is best in this world comes from the infinite holy, however you name it, and it belongs to every single one of us. But after one scissor-happy person takes too much from us in our lives, we might repaint our signs to say 3-bloom limit. I don't know about you, but I think the time has come to change my gardening mindset. Instead of trying to grow the showy, fancy flowers that only bloom once and never seem to be enough, for me, I think it's time to grow the kind of flowers that they call cut and come again flowers. Have you all heard that phrase before, cut and come again flowers? I know some of you are gardeners and some aren't. These are the flowers whose growth is stimulated when they are cut, who grow more blooms more regularly if you snip them to bring inside to enjoy. They like being cut. Cut and come again flowers are the cosmos and the marigolds and the zinnias and the dahlias and the statice and the sweet peas. My friends, we can choose to give our energy to the showy things that never seem to be enough, or we can give our energy to that which grows with abandon, to that which multiplies the more it is enjoyed. We can choose to see only the biggest and fanciest blossoms, or we can widen our gaze and choose to include the beauty that finds its way to grow in the cracks between the rocks and the hard places, the joy that climbs up and over the bent border fences that divide us. We can remember that all that is best in life belongs to each of us, and we can sing of abundance from the rooftops, or we can restrict our sharing to some kind of 3-bloom limit. My friends, flowers are everywhere, here in our sanctuary, with you on your Zoom screens, in the cracks, in the sidewalks around the world. Flowers are everywhere, and they are beautiful, and they bring joy, and they cannot be stopped. May we be like the flowers. May we be blessed with endless abundance. Amen, and blessed be.
Hi, I'm Reverend Hannah Capaldi.
And I'm Reverend Abbey Tennis. We are the ministers at the First Unitarian Church of Philadelphia, where our mission is to awaken love and justice in our lives and in the world.
We're so grateful that you watched, and we hope that the sermon connected with your soul.
We also want to invite you to join us for a live worship service every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You can always find the link to that service on our website at www.philauu.org. In these services, you'll hear words like you've just heard, and you also get a chance to greet one another, pray together, sing together, and we even hold a virtual coffee hour after services to get a chance to greet some new and old friends.
If you want to support the mission of this community and you feel moved to give, you can do so by going to the website that Reverend Abbey just mentioned. You can find that link below, or you can text 215-709-5095 and follow the prompts to give.
If someone in your life needs to hear these words today, we encourage you to share this video. And again, thank you so much for watching.
We hope to see you soon.